It's clear that we have ideas that we want to implement to make Georgetown a modernized city. But of course, we don't want to do that without your input as well. So you have the opportunity to contact us. You can do so via Facebook, or you can contact us via telephone number, that the number on screen, 671-6088. And you can share your ideas. You can identify areas that we should also look at. The things mentioned today, there it's not all, but we have a document that we call our policy and program plan, and we will be releasing a soft copy on social media very soon, but we have it in hard copy. But you as citizens can review that and contact us and share your ideas and have your input. So before we move on, I'm just gonna ask Tabitha to share one other thing that we'd like to touch on from this document before we go on in programming.
Okay, well, there are actually two things. One is the council's revenue. You would have recognized that we said there are a lot of things that we wanted to do, and all of these things would cost a lot of money, right? And we need to also ensure that we are bringing in money so as to also ensure that this works. And one of the few areas where we're thinking of is to establish a lot of spaces for cafes and restaurants. We could just rent them out. We also thinking of erecting apartment buildings for rental. We have spaces in Georgetown. I know the current council was talking about building buildings for the local government officers, and you're trying to figure out who exactly those officers are that will be getting special houses. But what we are proposing is that we actually create apartment complex for persons to actually be able to utilize that, and that would be able to bring in some amount of revenue for us. I think also that is important aspect is in terms of a social issue is that we want to also create two new safe spaces for persons who were either sexually molested or domestically abused or neglected. I think that is something that is lacking in our society. I have been involved to some extent in that area, recognizing that is something that is lacking in our society, and we need a space where they can go and they have persons there who actually are interested in their well-being, interested in seeing them become positive citizens coming and not necessarily going down the negative route. When somebody's abused or neglected, you see a lot of negative things that come out of them a lot of times, right? They act out in different or varying ways. And what we want to do is create a space for them where they can go, they get the counseling that they need, the help that they need, so that they can overcome those situations and also become productive members of society.
All right, thank you for sharing, Tabitha. And also, I should say to our viewers out there, because we're not going to go into office just to start looking at things that we want to implement. And I have to constantly remind the citizens of Georgetown that our first priority when we get into council offices is to review all the plans, projects, strategies, practices, regulations, everything of the city council over the last few years. Why we want to do that is because we want to ensure that everything that was implemented was done within within a structure that benefits the residents. We don't want to. We want to ensure that everything that was done in a manner in which the citizens can live a happy lives and not be forced to do anything that they don't want to do, like the instance of many persons being forced to park around a parking lot facility that was there for years. No consultation was had with the residents, but the council just decided that they're going to wake up, they want to make money, so they're going to have a paid parking lot at a facility that mostly doctors and nurses would park to work countless hours at the Georgetown Hospital saving lives, and then somebody's imposing on you that you have to now pay to park a vehicle there for 20 plus hours during the day. So we want you to know that we're going to consult everything that we do. We plan to consult, we plan to review these things. We are aware that we might have to reverse some of these things or tweak it just a bit so that you can benefit. I know recently persons started looking at this whole thing that the council is about to start tomorrow, where drivers of minibus and taxis will have to pay $100 at the bus park for every trip, and I think that is just pushing it a bit too much. So these are things that we will be entrusted with this when we go into office. Not that we're happy, but we will have to look at some of these things and try to find the best solution so that at the end of the day, everybody can be happy. Yes, the council needs money to do its work, but we don't have to put an unnecessary burden on the residents. So that is something we have to look into. Tabi, you want to share something?
No, just also, I just remember the market vendors as well, the way in which they were approached or not approached, the way in which a lot of things were just sort of pushed down their throats into how it is they were going to decide where it is you are going to sell now, when they decide to close up the market and not tell the vendors, and then decide they will have a meeting, and then they were basically abusing all the vendors about how it is that they normally vend and what they expect from them. And we are saying that that is not the approach that we are going to take. Right, we understand that things may need to change. That we have been accustomed to a certain way of doing business that probably needs to change. Yeah. But there's a better way in which you handle certain situations. There's a better way in which you can speak to the citizens who, basically, you are their servant, and to basically, so we have to recognize one, and that is what we intend to do as councillors, is that we would one consult, two with respect, not pushing things down the throats of the citizens of Georgetown, but recognizing that they too have a say, and we can come to a compromise once it is that we're all in it for the best interest of the society.
All right, I think Sydney has something that he wants to share before we take the program a bit further.
Good night again, everyone. As I mentioned before, my platform is recreation and education. And like I shared before, we believe that our youths should be given that opportunity to interact, play, and learn in a conducive environment. Now, on the topic of consultation, I have a list of some of the plans that we are proposing as long as we get into council. One being, we would build, redesign, and restructure community centers into youth-friendly spaces, which will foster growth and development through creative youth programs. In addition, we want to reintroduce creches in various constituencies to assist the single parents in caring for their children while they're away at work. Also, we want to support sporting activities. This is speaking to recreational facilities. We want to support sporting services or activities in communities. We plan to identify some sporting activities that are played at the Olympics level, and we would want to implement these same sports into our community centers, so our youths, they can learn these sports, and they can even compete and represent Guyana on the international level.
Yeah. To add to what Sydney, my colleague, has just shared, one of the things that we are also looking at, and I think Jamisi would have mentioned it a bit earlier, we're looking at social cohesion as well in Georgetown. We believe that if we're to develop, we just can't look at infrastructure, but the people also have to be elevated from one level to the next. And we want to foster that relationship, that brotherly love within the constituencies in Georgetown. So what you will find happening on the YFLG is that we will be pushing for inter-constituency activities, sporting activities, education activities. So what we do in that sense is we then would develop one for the educational aspect. We will develop a fun and healthy attitude towards learning, because if you're going to have inter-constituency debates about Guyana and Georgetown, some historical facts, then we develop that competitive attitude for learning, and education is key to the development of any society, because if we have an illiterate society, then I believe we'll have an undeveloped society. So that is just another thing that we're looking at there. But I want to thank the second group of members for coming on to share with you. And for those of you who probably just tuned in, you're on to the Walter Rodney Youth Movement on youth groundings, and focuses on local government election as we present to you the Youth for Local Government. So we have a call online, so we're going to take this call and then continue the program. Can we try that again?
Okay. Guess we don't have that call right now.
Alright, I think we're having a bit of a problem with the landline, so we'll fix that. But remember, you can send your text messages to 671-6088, and we'll be more than willing to read it. I have a message here. Somebody is saying, "Good evening once again to you and your panel. I am happy at what you are doing this evening. I have been campaigning on your behalf among my fellow senior citizens. Do not lose faith. Our platform is citizens one, you will win. I bet on that. Okay. Somebody is saying that they're campaigning for us, and she can guarantee us that we're gonna win.
Thank you very
So
much.
we thank you for that. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna go into the video, and we're gonna bring everybody back on, and we're gonna continue the discussions with the citizen, and we're gonna get the line fixed so that your calls can come through.
More youths in local government, because my reason for that is local government is a school, political school, where the youths that taking up, they would learn and they would be ready for central government in the next 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Instead of we having a lot of has-beens like me all the time going wrong in central government, use this local government to train youths to take over, so that by the next 50 years we still have ample politicians that would serve us.
While we preserve our cultural history. Vote Youth for Local Government.
All right, there you have it, the video there. We have a call online, so we're gonna go straight to this call. Caller, good evening. You're on here.
Yeah, good evening to you and your panel.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
One of the things I heard coming out from one of the new councillors that we will soon have
Thank you.
Thank you.
is that we need a lot of pavement in this country
Yeah.
because pedestrians are presently now at risk.
Uh-huh.
And as a driver, sometimes it gives us nightmare when we gotta negotiate the corners where people are walking, especially if you're going into South area and some other areas like down Northern Street. One of the things I want to talk about is see that Northern Street area.
Uh-huh.
Buses have a tendency of flying through there. We need some sleeping policemen that normally you find around our country.
Uh-huh.
And there are a lot of little children living in that area and they don't concern. That is one of the top priorities you should look into, Northern Street.
Okay.
From top to bottom, the minibus are flying through there.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Now, the carpets, when they bring out the stuff from the gutter,
Uh-huh.
it rolls back in after leaving there for several days.
True.
We need to do something about that because it's like work done, labor lost.
Yeah.
And we don't need that. So I know you guys are young and I know you probably would have traversed around Georgetown and you have noticed there's a lot of things that need to be upgraded.
Yeah.
And I hope that you guys would be able to get there and do the things that we, the elders, are looking forward to be done. So I wish you guys the best and I look forward to coming to your office soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thanks
sir.
very much, sir.
All right, thank you very much, caller, for coming through, and that is the kind of spirit that we like. We like it that our seniors are actually, what I would want to say is giving us, you know, I try to remember the word, the blessings of the seniors. Yes, you know, in some African countries, even in our modern day, you have to get the blessings of a father to get married or that kind of thing. So really getting the blessings of our seniors to go ahead and to take control of our communities and to develop it is something that we appreciate a lot. We have another caller coming in.
Caller, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I just want to see, though, that we have a lot of politicians, but we don't have any leaders. Because it's a different thing. You see, reality and the real intelligence of the world has been glossed over by a system, right?
Uh-huh.
Integrity with leadership, and the same thing you talk about, people going ahead and do things without consultation.
Uh-huh.
Things have changed. People are living to taxation without representation because the system needs money, and that's all it's all about.
Yeah.
That was never us. We have lost our culture. We've lost our way. This is Guyana. We are not supposed to be patterned after America.
Exactly.
If you wanted a pattern, we could pattern after, I think it is Sweden, someone was saying,
Uh-huh.
where the people all have houses and it's a social program there. But everybody is brainwashed to follow the new American way, which
Uh-huh.
is making money. When Europeans do not live to that, they have lots of social programs that Africans do not know about. So I just want to see, we need leaders, not politicians, because everybody coming on career And this is a new system that was introduced just after slavery that we don't understand. Before, we had community leaders. Community is greater than individual.
Yes.
It has been changed, right?
Yes.
So I just want everyone to know that.
Yes.
Because we have intelligent African people who look. I have intelligent African elders who call me, but many people don't know.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. And I must thank the caller for reminding me of that fact, where local government actually started from, which was after slavery. We can say that the pattern was taken from the village movement that started a very long time ago. And it was where the residents of communities, after slavery, they bought these various lands, and they kind of managed it, and they used agriculture to develop their communities. So that is where we get the whole local government from, and that is what we have to, in this modern day, push as residents of our community. Have another caller? Caller, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening,
Good evening, sir. Can you turn your television down, please?
Now, let us look at what we should supposed to call role models.
Yes, sir.
Now, our country has known persons of African descent and persons of Indian descent who are role models. And when some of these role models pass away, the government in office treat the person with disdain, and it's interfering with the normal trend of things.
Okay.
Now, let's take, for instance, Philip Moore. Philip Moore ought to be at 7 pounds, and the PPP treated him like a dog. I hope you youngsters will take these things on and run with it and see that the government of the day fulfill these requirements.
All right.
Role models are persons who must not be taken to the grave and allowed to remain there. They must live with us through our lives because they are role models. And Philip Moore is one such role model.
All right.
He is the greatest sculptor in the entire Caribbean.
All right. Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you for your input.
And that is why our mandate is that, or a part of our mandate is to develop a 21st century city while we preserve our history, because we don't want these things to die, and we want to ensure that when 4 generations and more down the line, that Guyana's history is chronicled in such a way that it's hard for it to be just whitewashed with some paint and leave the memories of our residents. So that is what we're gonna do. We're gonna look for those. We know most of those persons, and we're gonna ensure that their history is kept alive, and that is why we want to have these inter-constituency activities as well, because we will be looking at Guyana's history, we will be looking at Georgetown's history, and we will ensure that we preserve those history in such a way, and we pass those information on so that the younger ones coming up can have that knowledge as well. You have another caller? All right, I'm just going to read a message just in. Somebody saying, please advise what you will do about building on reserves and what plans you have for seniors and the disabled. All right, I'm going to ask somebody to pick that up just now while I read this other message. It says, hi guys, my view is that what irritates me every day, all those 45 minibus that does be using the one way up and down all day, if the police couldn't just be stationed there all day. All right, thank you. Anybody has the information there on the disabled and seniors?
Yeah. Okay, we talked before about social cohesion, and we ought to remember we're not this is not a bid to rule out the senior citizens and forget about them. So some of the plans that we have is the implementation of a hotline, as I mentioned before, where seniors can call and get youth volunteers to assist homebound seniors with their needs. Also to collaborate with the Chadijagan Dental School to ensure that homebound seniors have access to dental services. In terms of catering for the differently abled, to make available at least one appropriate bus per route which caters to the traveling needs of the differently abled in our community. Also to collaborate with the Ministry of Social Cohesion to ensure that those who are currently working are not discriminated and that their work environment is conducive. Also to collaborate with the Ministry of Social Protection to find suitable jobs for those who are capable of working.
All right, so there you have some of the ideas, some of the plans that we're trying out to assist our seniors and the differently able. One of the things that
before you go on, Cleon, I think you should share the example with the lady that needed you to go and uplift some stuff for her.
Yes. All right. Thanks for putting me off guard. While going into the door to door talking to residents in the South Rum Belt area, and this is how this idea was birthed as well.
Yeah.
I met a senior and I went into her house. She invited me to come in to talk, and we were talking, and then I realized that she couldn't walk because something was wrong with her one of her leg, and she asked me. She said, "Could you please bring this thing for me? It's in the room here." And I went and I got it, and it dawned on me that we might have a lot of homebound seniors who may need somebody to assist them if it's going to buy a 5-gallon bottle of water, or to get medication, or to basically just bring something to them from the shop or something like that. So as young people, what we're doing is we want to form a volunteer base of young people who will be available to cater to our seniors on a regular basis. If it's on the weekends or if people have time during the day, we want to set up that platform because we want to ensure that after our seniors would have served Georgetown and our country, that they don't have to be at home as if they're forgotten and the world doesn't really care about them. So we want to show our appreciation for what they have done by spending some time in assisting them in whatever way possible. So that is where that idea came about, and we do hope that the person who asked the question, that we have answered your question and you're satisfied with the answer that we've given. So I'm gonna ask Tabitha to basically talk about the issue with the persons on the government reserve.
Okay, just quickly, we actually have it in our program and plans, everything that we're saying here. It says here, consult with persons who are occupying government reserves within communities with the aim of relocating them and developing those spaces for various purposes. What we also recognize is that in a lot of communities, there are a lot of abandoned properties and abandoned spaces. So will contact those persons to see whether or not they're still interested in those particular spaces. If not, we can relocate persons who are on reserves to those particular spaces. And basically, we're not just going to force persons off the reserves, but have consultation with them, help them to understand that we may need a reserve for another purpose, and see how it is that we can relocate them into the community instead of on the boundaries of communities.
Right. And that is one of the reasons why we're having the rental apartments as well.
Exactly.
And that system is going to be structured in such a way where you will pay according to your income, right? And if for those who don't have income, we will work with you to ensure that you have an employee, or if it's small business wise, we can assist you in getting along those lines. So everybody will be catered for. We have just about 4 minutes of program time. I'm going to read these other 2 messages, and hopefully we can take 1 call. Somebody's saying, I only just tuned in, but I love what I'm hearing, and I look forward to working with you and your team. I know who that individual is, so thank you for messaging. And the final message I'm going to read here, I said, I'm watching your program, and the most important thing must focus on the development of the people in their communities, recreational activities and educational program, and on their health. So thank you very much for your input, caller. For texting, could we take 1 more call?
Good afternoon.
Yes, a very good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Yes, I don't know if this would be in your purview when you get to office, but is it possible for us to have public transportation for for, mostly the elderly, because we find that buses leave these people on the streets, and it is very disturbing. I mean, some may have some, some smell and stuff, but we need to have them taken to where they're going. They were once our fighting fathers and mothers, and we cannot have them left on the road.
Exactly.
So if we can have public transportation, that would be one of the things that you and I would have achieved.
All right, thank you very much.
And also, we have a lot of disabled in-house. If they're going to be like an office where we can have them listed and we check with them on a regular basis, that would be very, very important, because some people want to get out, but there is no mode of getting that system.
All right, thank you very much, caller, for that input.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, so we're down to program time. We want to thank you for having us in your homes today, and we do hope that come next week you will be tuned and locked and ready to interact with us. As we go, we want to say have a pleasant rest of the week, and we want to ask you to support the Youth for Local Government. If you want to support in any way, whether financially, whether you want to assist as a volunteer, you can contact us on 671-6088. That is 671-6088, or you can reach us on our Facebook page, and we'll be more than willing to facilitate whatever it is, whether suggestion, idea, or donation. So on behalf of the Youth for Local Government, we want to say have a good afternoon, and we want to say
thank you.
Thank you.
Vote Youth for Local Government.
Youth for Local
Youth for
Government.
Local Government.
Bye for now.
Bye.
I think that it's time we realize youths are ready and the youths must rise. Realize it is time that our youths must shine. Realize we're getting involved because we care. You want to breathe again, then vote youth, be fresh air. YFLG for the city, vibrant leadership for our communities, creative strategies, reinforce policies, regulations to make you smile with ease. A modern ICT right here in GT.